Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here. Man, this week I really worked my butt off and became the Wizard King. And I've got a little cold, so I'm never going to be as cool as Zach, so I won't have a cough squad, but maybe I'll have a sniffle squad. Take a shot every time you hear me sniff disgustingly and then die of alcohol poisoning. Please don't do that. That was sarcasm. Okay, got this for free from comic book shop I go to, and it's fun. I had to read it in two goes. There, sniff one. I had to read it in two goes. First, I read kind of like the opening exposition and kind of checked out, and then came back to it, and then I really started digging it. So the original title was going to be "This is poorly paced." I guess it is still slowly paced, but it actually delivers. So Wonder Man, I'm almost 100% sure that Marvel got this trademark to tweak DC's nose a bit and kind of rub it in their face that they can't use the name Wonder Man, even though they have the much more famous character Wonder Woman. This gave me flashbacks to my days as a little kid, going to the library and asking my parents to let me check out as many Marvel Essentials black and white books as possible because there was no comic book shop nearby. The smallest violin in the world is playing for little me. So yeah, so this did a good job of reminding me who the heck this character was because I read about it in those Marvel Essentials books, and even reminded me details of his personality and how he's kind of a different sort of character. So what's interesting about him is he's not particularly. By the way, this whole comic book is proof positive that Zach's right that the physical comic books are time capsules. I wish they would just include these ads in the digital editions because I almost like the ads better than the story in some degrees. I did like the story, I don't get into that, but I mean, look at this. Christmas poster bonanza from Marvel Press. Each 22 by 34 poster, only $3.95, available at your friendly neighborhood comic book store. Man, this was made before I was born, before I was a sparkle in my father's eye, and yet I'm still nostalgic for it. Okay, so Wonder Man kind of chickened out of the Avengers. He was kind of a crook. He was experimented on and became invulnerable, and yet he's still afraid of death, even though out of most superheroes in the Marvel universe, you'd think he wouldn't particularly fear death. He still fears death and his own mortality, even though he's almost indestructible. And what's amazing about this character, who's kind of gone down our collective memory hole, is there was a chunk of time in Avengers comics where he'd be considered one of the stronger Avengers, or one of the powerful members. Win a complete set of GoBot toys, announcing the Nestle Quick Challenge of the GoBots game, 250,000 prizes. See specially marked packages of Nestle Quick for a free instant winner game card. That's totally awesome, bro. So they give you his whole origin story. They show you his old oh, this was my favorite. Cap's gonna star in a Broadway show, and maybe you can star with him. If you're a girl between 10 and 14 who can sing, dance, and act up a storm, you might just be the person Cap's looking for. So, yeah, Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark of the 1980s. I couldn't believe this. I went to look for it. I just found a little dinky article that said it ended up in development hell and never happened. A massive budget of $4 million was sunk into this. Boy, that would have been not a cringe volcano, but a cringe candy mountain. I wish this could have been. So then we see even this is the most exciting thing we get in the opening chapter is Wonder Man picks up his taxi and carries him over traffic. And I guess it's a little kind of exciting super thing that happens, but I checked out after like about page 20 or so. The power of the universe can be yours with space tubes. I don't know what it is. I know it'd be a waste of money, but I want one. I want one. And then he hangs out with Ant-Man, and Ant-Man pulls the old Clark Kent on him, where he comes in and then changes costume and then says, "Oh, hey, fancy meeting you here." And the Avengers had their own equivalent of the cheap danger room, and he fights a robot. Okay. This was so dull. So things started cooking when he gets a job as kind of a troublemaker, troubleshooter for one of Tony Stark's companies that essentially just will research anything, no matter what the cost. And this one little twerpy dude is trying to open portals to other dimensions and succeeds. And by the time these little weird gnome dudes show up and start battling each other, things get a little bit more interesting. It's kind of goofy, and they goof the character a little bit, where he sinks into the dirt. He's not a big fan of her bossing him around. By the way, let's see if I can get this to focus. Williams, try to contain them. Keep them confined in to this area. Why, what's this? We appear to have an extra exclamation point here. Why, Assistant Editor Lynn Cohen? You thought I wouldn't notice this? Back in 1986, you thought you'd gotten away? Well, it's current year, and I have noticed. Heather Ontos has trained my eyes to see them wherever they may lie. What greetings from 2017, Lynn Cohen. Anyway, so then he takes care of that problem. Yada yada yada. That's the problem. Is I kind of found myself doing some yada yada yada. Even this is kind of cute. Like he's sort of he's not supposed to be a particularly brilliant guy. He's not a particularly brave guy. He's not a particularly heroic or cool guy, but then, as he's about to smash it, he says, wait, I'm not a genius, but I do have a brain, I can unplug it, So it's mildly bemusing, and kind of sets you up as he's a powerful guy, but, what's he supposed to do with this power? What's a guy who's actually afraid of death going to do with an absolutely incredible power set that makes him stronger, probably than quite a few Marvel superheroes? And what if he's kind of a twerp about it? So it's an interesting concept, and they're starting to introduce that gradually here. And he saved a dog. Aw, this was kind of a cool moment. Typical dude bro challenges him in a bar, and then he crushes something. So even if he is kind of like behind the eight ball a bit, they're giving him cool moments. And then this is where it gets a little weird, pacing-wise. This is like 3 times the length of, like a 24-page comic book, so there's at least 2 adventures wangled together in this. So the guy who was recruiting him gets sucked into the portal, and he says he can't do it. He suddenly gets called away by the Avengers because he's the only man capable of the job, and then his, pretty first wave feminist boss, she decides to go in after her employee, and she goes in alone. Hey, I like that kind of feminism. Where's some of that? Where's some of that? Yeah, way to represent. There's a large gender gap between people dying in workplace-related accidents, and she is taking charge. She's raising the glass ceiling. She wants to be on the front lines in a dangerous situation. You go, girl. She is more heroic than most SJW Marvel Comics female heroes. My gosh. All right, so he meets up with the Avengers, and they pretty much tell him that Sandman had cancer. I didn't know that. It happened in the... Oh, I kind of did... Oh, man, this is so many rush memory flashes back to the library when I was a little kid, skimming through these horrible black and white books. Yes, Sandman had cancer, and Wonder Man's the only one who can go stop him because he's the only one who can resist that radiation. And, it's like a Spider-Man fight. He rope-a-dopes him a bit. He figures out what Sandman's powers are. Comic book convention. What a nice ad. What a nice illustration. Retro ads in these new comics, that doesn't mean make it look awful. It means simple but solid. That's a simple, solid ad. So he rope-a-dopes. Oh, this is so cool. Time is running out. It's the iconic Green Goblin cover, but Hobgoblin is Santa Claus. And they even have like trim, holiday mistletoe trim, all around it. Don't forget that Marvel Comics make great holiday gifts for friends. Well, especially if you want to deprogram your little boy from patriarchy with Squirrel Girl. Am I right? So he gets water on Sandman because that's how you defeat Sandman, and he makes note of the irony that he was afraid to die, which is why he became a reserve Avenger, and now he's the only one who can stop Sandman, and he's risking his life, and Sandman is creating this dangerous situation because Sandman's kind of freaked out by his own mortality and the potential of dying of cancer. And then he hits that home when gets back and meets the Avengers, and kind of he's found his heroic qualities at last after spending kind of a whole issue of being a bit of a simp. He finds something within himself, which is neat. You know, even though he's kind of a simpy character, and he's actually supposed to be sort of a redeemed crook, a little like Plastic Man, I guess. DC's Plastic Man is he finds heroic qualities still when it counts, and then he goes back and the girl saved the day all by herself, and she got the guy out, and he's told that, you know, you're a great guy. We're glad that you decided to save Manhattan, but we're looking for a full-time employee. So, you know, comes to an end. His time as a private troubleshooter comes to an end, and he feels like he's found himself. For so many years, through so much emotional turmoil, I've looked for a place to belong. Maybe, just maybe, I've been there all the time. So, you know, it's no Spider-Man Death of Gwen Stacy, but this is an actual heroic character. The art's just okay, standard art, but with actual drawings in it. The ads are so cool. Wow, I love the ads. And even this kind of like just general middling character that I barely remember from Avengers comics, in the end, delivered a story after kind of a real slow start where I was kind of dragging. And I loved, look at this. Become your favorite Marvel character. Scott Adams presents the Hulk. What, like a text adventure? Is this like, what was that old text game where you're eaten by a Gru? Man, I want to play this. Man, the nostalgia for a decade I didn't even live in. But I'm not gonna find it. They used one of those freaking red arrows in this, and some of the panel compositions were just not intuitive. So I'm sorry, Zach. I'm sorry, 80s kids. Your decade wasn't perfection. The 90s weren't perfection. You had your annoying red arrows trying to force me to read something that's a poorly designed composition. So, but hey, lots of good stuff. This appearances are deceiving. I mean, this was the comic book. No, this was pre-comic book boom, but you can get this for like $1.50 on eBay, and I got it for free. So not that hard to find. Not on Marvel Digital, not on Marvel Unlimited. Yet they've got some gems. They need to get updated, man, because this is, I wouldn't call this a gem, but it was thoroughly fun and thoroughly decent, and such a nostalgic rush. So get some of the old physical ones, I guess. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan with kind of a fun old 80s recommend for you. Catch you later.